Welcome back to the Advanced Selling Podcast, the longest running sales training podcast history on the globe and the world and the universe on the planet. I'm Bill Caskey.
I'm Brian Neal.
We are so glad you're with us. We know that many of you join us every week, and we appreciate that. And if you have not yet given us a rating on iTunes or said something nice about us or mean, please do so. It's easy to do. Just go to iTunes, find our podcast, and just rate and review us. We've got several hundred up there now, and we like to keep priming that pump.
You know what I'd be curious about is how many people listen on Spotify now? Do you have any idea? We don't have stats on that, do we? We have some stats? Oh, Travis can get the stats. I'm curious. It seems like Spotify is sort of stealing market share from Apple.
From Apple? I don't know.
Maybe not. Maybe it's because I'm a Spotify person. You know what I mean? No. Apple. I saw Apple might make a car. I've always said if Apple makes anything, I'll buy it. Like they make a vacuum cleaner, food processor. I don't process food.
I would buy an Apple car.
But if Apple process food, I
won't buy an Apple Watch. Do you have an Apple Watch?
It's right here. You want me to put it on?
No.
Now, why don't you like the Apple Watch?
No, it just feels...
What?
Feels like one more platform, one more...
It's not. It's fantastic. Oh. Let me start my rant on why it's so great. Where do you want me to start? Wait, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go
Yesterday, my wife had borrowed her dad's car because he just needed to drive because he didn't drive and his battery goes dead. So she took it, and I texted her and said, hey, if you want to meet me at your dad's, I'll pick you up, and that way we can get the car back there.
Yeah.
She says, can't talk right now, in the middle of something. And I'm like, okay, well, that's okay. It's no big deal. And then she got home. She goes, well, that came through on my watch. And it came through on my watch, and I was working out in yoga, and I couldn't see it because the phone wasn't there. And I said, well, look, my watch and it said, and I couldn't do it. And so I just said, shut up. So it's like, okay, that was a lot to do about nothing. So
hang on.
That's why I don't like the watch.
I'm just looking at my heart rate here. Yeah, we're good.
Who cares? Who cares how well you sleep at night?
If I have a heart attack, it's a problem. Right,
it's a problem, but no.
So it's just great.
Is that a remedy for it too, or just tell you're having
exactly. It's really good if you for tracking your movement in a day to keep you healthy. It's really good for that. Tracking your steps and your stands and your movement. You can log your all your workouts in there.
But that's worthless information. Does it help you work out? No.
Yeah, it incents you to. It's incenting by reminding you it's time. It'll say things like it's time to stand.
I got everybody in this room with an Apple Watch on. You have one?
It works.
No,
we have an
Apple Watch. I have one not on me.
Yeah,
okay,
see, everybody's got one.
Everybody's got one, but me. Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot
I work out every day at 6:30. I lift a lot of weights and I do a lot of cardio. I do not need an Apple Watch to tell me.
Then I would agree. You don't need an Apple Watch.
Okay.
So there's that.
Topic.
Apple Watches. We're going to talk about our favorite wrist accessories.
Oh, we have
wrist.
We have a question, don't we?
Well, you want to do your shout out to your friend.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We have a friend of the show. He's been a listener for a long time. His name is Paul Estridge, and he is in the hospital right now. I think he was in intensive care, but he's coming back. He's getting a normal room, getting out of ICU hopefully this week. He's had some transplant of an organ, and we just wanted to say, hey, he's been a listener, and I don't know whether he has the ability to listen to podcasts. It wouldn't surprise me. He's been a home builder, a custom home builder in the Indianapolis area for many years. He and his father, and he's just been just a good guy. He's a good human being. In fact, he actually started a podcast that I helped him with a little bit this year, interviewing people with their stories. And he was so fascinated by meeting somebody and hearing that they have a story that nobody really knows. And so he was doing some podcasting there. But Paul, if you're listening, we wish you the best.
Amen to that, Paul. And his, I don't know him well personally, but just knowing his family and what they do here in town. And they've done some really great things and projects, and a lot of you don't realize as a home builder the impact you have on people's lives long after they're gone. I mean, it's a lot of good stuff. So
okay,
all right.
We had a couple of questions from our LinkedIn group. If you are not a part of that group, we're going to be yielding to those people if they have questions. And so we have one here from Daniel Iordash. It was a month ago, so this is before the holidays.
Yep.
Hey guys, new here in the group, but I listen to the podcast. We're a small team that is specialized in audio engineering. We want to go with podcast editing and fixing everything related to a podcast's audio. We've done some little projects in the past in this niche. We want to start selling our services and wanted to ask you, what do you think is the best way to do that? We want to try the most popular freelancing platforms for now. I would love to hear your advice from Daniel. So our audio engineers, they want to get into the podcast editing, fixing, production business. What's the best way to do that?
A couple things. A couple pieces of advice. Here would be one. Podcasting, editing, and fixing podcasts is a really broad market right now, with hundreds of millions of podcasts. I think are we over like 100 million? Or
no,
I don't know.
Probably not 100 million
of shows.
No.
What am I thinking?
I don't know.
No, that'd be a lot, wouldn't it? 100 million shows. It's a lot. As my wife says, a bazillion, which I think is a word now.
I think you could say that.
It was a bazillion podcast. Yeah. So the question is, how do you develop a niche within that? So you could focus on. I would encourage you to focus on things like we work with business to business podcasts or business podcasts, or we work with health and fitness podcasters, because those people are easier to find collectively than just saying, yeah, we help anyone with a podcast. The other thing it'll help you is think about podcasters, their history. So you need people to pay you money, and a lot of podcasts, the thing you can't tell with a podcast, like Bill said a few episodes ago, you can't tell 4 people listen or 4 million. It's hard to tell sometimes. Someone with 4 listeners probably doesn't have
not going to spend
the cash, right?
a month.
Exactly. To work with you. But, a group that has a bigger following, that has millions of downloads or whatever, or seems to be part of a bigger business, they might have more money to spend with you. So first piece of advice is to target that way.
That's good.
Yeah.
I just looked up how many podcasts there were. You were off by only
100 million.
98.5 million.
2 million? 2 million
1.7 million.
1.7 million podcasts?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I think that's worldwide probably.
Yes.
So,
maybe I was thinking, but episodes would be way bigger than that. Where did I get my 100 million mark? I don't know. Doesn't matter.
There are over 43 million episodes.
Wow.
So what that tells me is...
But that's not downloads.
40 episodes. No, that's not downloads.
Yeah,
that's
right.
episodes.
Yeah, okay.
So the average podcast has about 30
million.
episodes. We have 700. Okay.
Okay.
Here is one thing I would do. I would create the most awesome podcast episode that you've ever created as a sampler, and I would send it to people and say, this is a sample of our work. I might even go out and find 2 or 3 podcasters, maybe you want to start with us, that you can take their podcast and really make it special through the front rolls and the music and the editing and put that on your website and say, if you'd like your podcast to sound like this, give me a call. We can do that.
That's a good idea.
So sampling,
That's a really good idea.
Think about the cologne when you walk into Nordstrom's. Just think about, used to be that people would start splashing cologne. They want you to, and I think even Nordstrom has a little rack there where you have your cologne, and I spruce up, put it all over me. I put it in my pockets in case.
I have my hand raised. Is it colognes for men, perfumes for women, correct?
Did I say perfume?
You said cologne.
Yeah.
Question is, but I've never been sprayed. It's always the women's stuff. I've personally never been sprayed. Is there a men's cologne section?
Yeah.
In Nordstrom. See, I don't go in Nordstrom.
It's right when you walk
Nordstrom's.
in. Right at Nordstrom's. It's right next to Kmart's. Okay.
To Kroger's.
Where was I there? So just create a sample as you might get spruced and sprayed when you walk into a department store, high-end, Saks.
Yeah.
But you could create your own podcast. I would say if you're going to be in the podcast editing business, you better have a podcast and it had better be really good, and it doesn't have to be long, but it has to be good and show off some of the elements that you help people with.
Like it.
All right.
That's what I do on that one. Yep. Good advice on both ways. So we got, by the way, if you're not in the LinkedIn group, this is a reason to be in the LinkedIn group. One of the many reasons is we're pulling questions from the LinkedIn group right now. So if you want us to answer your question live on the air on the podcast, go post it up in there. We'll be filtering through the LinkedIn group looking for some of these. Here's another one.
Christopher Renaud or Renaud. He says, hi, everyone. Hey.
What's up, Chris?
Hey, Chris. New listener here, 25, brand new to sales, looking for help as I begin a career I'm truly excited about. If you had 3 things to say to a beginning salesperson, what would they be? Love the podcast, love the community, love you guys, love. I can't wait to bring begin bringing solutions that will truly benefit those around me. Good job, Chris.
There you go, Chris. Is Chris a man or a woman? Christopher's a guy.
Yeah.
Probably. Let's see.
What are a couple things you would say to him as a beginner?
So we've done some episodes. So this isn't part of the advice. Go back to look for Christopher or Chris. Look for the new in sales episodes. We've done a couple of these in the past, I think. But we haven't done one in 2021. So that's a little different for me.
No, we have not.
So my advice would change, I think. So here's
today.
Maybe
Maybe today's advice is different than it would have been a year and a half ago.
Excuse me, COVID cough. I would say number one.
Nothing to laugh at.
I would absolutely start to work on your social media presence as a sales professional, specifically on LinkedIn. And so whatever frequency with which you're engaging with LinkedIn, I would start to throw fuel on that and up it by 2, 3, 5, 10 times. And so what that means is you need to start to really consistently produce stuff and engage on LinkedIn. Engagement can mean you comment on posts of other people that are in your industry, potential customers, learn, post things, ask questions, try to engage. That'd be the first piece of advice for a new salesperson that you can't start too soon. You can start that immediately. And for a lot of people, if you're 25, you're used to that game already. You're already usually a social media-ish person. Mm-hmm. So that's a piece of advice I'd give someone that I wouldn't have given 3 years ago, I don't think, as my first bit.
And is LinkedIn and starting to spruce up your profile and really get committed?
Yeah, absolutely.
Would be part of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Commitment to LinkedIn and to think of it being your front door.
Yeah.
Or, people come into your house. It's like, what do they see? What do they experience first?
Yeah, that's good.
My first one.
My first one probably would be go around to your company if there are other salespeople in your company and go to the ones who have been the most successful. So if you've got 10 people in your company, there's probably 2 or 3 that are crushing it and are consistent with it. And go take them out to lunch and interview them. And record it, get it transcribed, because there will be things that they will say that'll kind of be off the cuff that you won't be able to write down. In fact, I wouldn't even take notes. Yeah. I would be present with them really because you're recording. And I would ask them questions like, when you get ready to go see a prospect, what goes through your mind? How do you imagine things will turn out? What kinds of agendas do you make? How do you best follow up with people? What do you find people struggle with? There's 100 questions that you could ask these people. And I don't know that it has to be people in your company.
Yeah.
It could be people outside, but find some cream of the crop, people who are earning the kind of income that you'd like to be earning in the next 2 to 5 years. Ask them questions, interview them, document it. Now you've got your game plan.
It's really good. My last bit of advice for Chris on this, if I were new in sales, advice to a 25-year-old would be, I just hadn't lost it, and it's coming back now, and it is, I would recommend, Chris, that you practice and then practice and then practice some more. And I'm going to give 2 versions of practice. Number 1, I would find a scrimmage buddy, a scrimmage partner. So you'll see this on a football field. You see it in a basketball team, right? You got someone, I'm sure, Bill, when you played basketball, there was someone that you like to play one-on-one with. Or that
Did you say when I played? As in past tense?
All right, Travi, will you please take the video over to Lifetime and get some Bill Caskey on ink?
I will do it now that you've challenged me. And we'll cut all the misses.
So now that you play, I'm sure then there's someone that you like to run with, as they say in the basketball world.
That's dope.
So, Bill,
That's dope.
Who exactly do you run with these days at Lifetime? But there's probably someone, though, that you would even working on your certain part of your game. So you have a good defender on your team, like, hey, man, come out and guard me, before practice or whatever. So do it in football, too. The offensive lineman will pair up with the defensive lineman, just the 2 of them, one-on-one, and they have their scrimmage buddies, and they try to challenge each other. Find a practice buddy. Another salesperson, one of your friends. It seems cheesy and hokey at first, but if you're both committed to making yourselves better, it'll be really good.
Yeah, that's good.
Then secondarily to the practice is make sure you're practicing the technologies you're going to be using. In this case, I would absolutely practice using Zoom. I'd practice my eye contact. I'd practice my background. I'd practice all the mechanics of moving around if you're doing demos and stuff like that. Anything you have to do for remote selling. If if you're on Microsoft Teams, practice Microsoft Teams. No one's
That's
practicing
awesome.
that stuff,
That's awesome.
and they need to be
That's
right
awesome.
now.
And do you think that the slide or the slideshow is taking on a different emphasis because of the fact that we're all virtual now? I mean, I know that we've always kind of dissed the slideshow,
Yeah.
but it feels like, I don't know if you can diss it anymore. The question is what are you going to put on the screen visually that's going to be compelling
Yes.
when it's not you sitting with your nose 3 inches from the computer talking?
Yes. Well, I think that's part of the problem is the old way to do air quotes demos on a remote with a slide deck was I turned my face off or I was never on there to
Right,
start with.
right.
And it was just a go-to-meeting back in the day.
Yeah.
And all it was seeing the slides.
Yeah.
Now with Zoom, you need to be present and need to look both at the camera. It's a thing. To literally look
It
at
is
the
a thing.
camera
It is a thing.
while you're rolling through the Zoom and keep looking at the camera because the people will be watching you. You need to practice that for sure.
You know what I think is going to happen, and Travis and I talked about this a little bit today. I think there will be, and we might have talked about this, a ratcheting up of the production value of the Zoom call.
Oh, yeah.
So now when you do a call, you might have an easel over there, and you may have a monitor over here. You may have 2 cameras and a switcher. And if it's an important call, it might be worth a couple $100 to hire somebody and say, when I go to this, switch to the close-up here.
Yep.
When I go to here, switch to the close-up. Let's mic everybody in the room. Let's make sure that this is an experience versus a Zoom call.
Yes.
Because it's all there, the mic, the audio, everything's there. But if we just default to, well, it's a Zoom call. I mean, what are you going to do? You
Right.
can't get creative. Well, hell yes, you can.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Sure you can.
It's a TV show.
It's so true.
Yeah.
There's no doubt that's coming. And there are companies doing it. There's one, what is it called? What's the company that's doing the Zoom background stuff?
Oh.
It's called something funny. It's not like Baba or Wawa or something like that.
You mean the green screen stuff?
Yeah. It's a guy.
God,
it's
that
really
stuff doesn't
cool.
work. Yeah, but it's
I don't
so
know.
sketchy. You
Some
got your light.
famous
Doesn't
guy.
your lighting have to be really right in the background? But maybe we should do an episode on the Zoom experience.
We should. We
And
totally should.
Maybe even have somebody who has it nailed. If you know somebody who's really doing it well.
Well, I think we are. On the Insider, if you haven't been a member yet.
I think the
join a
Insider,
member.
yeah, I
Actually
think
doing
the Insider's
okay.
good.
We'll experience it.
But maybe we could even ratchet that up.
No,
So
yeah.
anyway,
Okay.
go to our LinkedIn group and put in your question. And if we select your question, here's what we're going to do. Okay, if we select your question, what we're going to do is we're going to answer the question.
Please do. And yeah, you got to be in the LinkedIn
thought
group
there was
to do
gonna
that,
be a
so-
prize.
I did. I
There's
thought we were
not.
going to give something away.
We have things that we'd like to give away, but we don't know where these things are. So we're running
that's right.
running them
I
down.
was just looking to see if she texted me
Yeah,
back. She did
we're
not.
running them down as
Yes, we're trying to find
talking
some
here.
things, and it's not happening right
We've got
now,
a
so.
warehouse full of things that we can't get to. So anyway.
We're going to get charged $80,000 for inventory fees.
You'll be the first to know, though.
All
Glad
right.
you're here.
Yep.
Thanks for listening. Bye.